Here's what it's like to look at one painting for a full hour. Hi there, I'm Jeff, and this is Plain English lesson number 497. JR is the producer, and he has uploaded today's full content to plainenglish.com/497. Earlier this year, I read a book called 4,000 Weeks by the British journalist Oliver Burkeman. For anyone struggling to get it all done or find enough hours in the day, I highly recommend the book. But that's not what we're talking about today. In the book, the author tells a story about a professor of art at Harvard University, Jennifer Roberts. One of the assignments that Professor Roberts gives her students is this: go to a museum and look at a painting or a sculpture for 3 hours. Oliver Burkeman takes the challenge in his book, and I, too, decided to take a modified version of the challenge. I decided to look at a painting for 1 full hour. Now, I'm not an art student whatsoever, so I think 1 hour for me is about the equivalent of 3 hours for an art student. And in today's lesson, I'll tell you what it was like to look at a single painting for a full hour. In the second half of today's lesson, we'll review the phrasal verb run out, and we have a song of the week. Let's dive in. 3 hours, or even just 1 hour, seems like an absurdly long time to look at just one painting. Think of the last time you were in a museum. What is the longest time you spent in front of any one object? 5 minutes? So, what could you possibly learn from a painting in an hour that you couldn't get in, say, 10 minutes? Furthermore, the challenge is not to look at a painting for 3 hours while also checking notifications on your phone, while also listening to music, while also getting something from the refrigerator, what have you. The idea is to look at a painting and study it with no distractions. I was recently in Kansas City, Missouri, a medium-sized city in the center of the country. While I was there, I visited the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. I chose a painting whose title I can't pronounce, but here's what I think it is: The Garden of Les Mathrins at Pontoise. Oh, I hope my French high school teacher isn't listening. The Garden of Les Mathrins at Pontoise, painted in 1876 by Camille Pissarro. It's an oil painting on a large canvas, about 165 centimeters across by 113 centimeters high. There was a bench in front of the painting in the museum. I took a seat and turned my phone's notifications off. I set a timer for an hour. I began by noticing everything that was going on in the painting. what things were depicted. After 11 minutes, I thought I had seen everything. So what was I going to do for the next 49 minutes? Well, then I decided to look at what I was seeing and study why I was seeing it. What did the artist do to make the leaves on a tree look like they were in motion? If a tree and grass are both green, how did the artist show me what's in the foreground and what's in the background? There's a brick path that wanders through a garden, but it's hidden by the grass. So how did I know, as a viewer, that the path continued if I couldn't see it? What did the artist do to show me something that was obscured? I looked at angles, I looked at colors, I looked at shadows, I looked at the direction of the brush strokes, things I had never looked closely at before. And I came to appreciate the planning, the techniques, the care that the artist put into his work. And in the process of looking closely, I also found things that had not been visible to me before. More than 30 minutes into my hour, I noticed a dog in a window. And after that, I noticed a railing that I hadn't seen before and what looked like a fountain. During the hour, I would sit on the bench and look up. I would stand up and look closely at a specific part. I would step back and sit down again. The museum that day wasn't crowded, but there would occasionally be 2 or 3 other people looking alongside me. When that happened, I felt possessive, almost jealous. I felt like I didn't want to share the painting with anyone else. One person spent about 5 minutes at the painting. The rest spent 15 to 30 seconds each, and I bet nobody else saw the dog. A funny thing happened at 48 minutes. I started to feel like my time was running out. When I started the exercise, an hour felt like an eternity. What was I going to do for 60 full minutes? But after 48 minutes, I felt the opposite. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to take advantage of the 12 minutes that remained. And in the end, I stayed a little longer than an hour. Now, if you're a Harvard art student, the purpose of the exercise is to study the piece, to note your thoughts and observations during the 3-hour assignment. I'm not an art student whatsoever. So for me, the exercise had a different purpose. The purpose for me was to take a long time and just enjoy something for its own sake, without thinking about getting through the museum or seeing it all. There were no boxes to check, no things to cross off a list, no plans to make, no time pressure at all. It was just a full hour, or however long I wanted, and one thing to enjoy with no outside pressure. So you can do this too. It can be with a painting or a sculpture like I described. But if you're not into that, you can do it with something else too. If you're into nature, you can go on a hike, find a nice place to sit, and just observe the view for an hour. If you're more into cities, you can sit on a city street corner and just observe what you see for an hour, 2 hours, whatever. If you're into music, it might be harder. If you want to try this with music, you should turn the lights off and just listen and concentrate on the same piece for an hour. Play it a few times. The point is to eliminate distractions and just enjoy something pleasant for what seems like a very long time with no pressure at all. See if you can do it. Well, you guys are lucky today. I picked an easy one. The phrasal verb I picked is run out. This is one of the most common phrasal verbs in all of English, and you absolutely must know how to use it. We use run out when we have an amount or a quantity of something, and that quantity is moving toward zero. We usually say this when the quantity is almost gone. So let's start with two examples that are very common: time and money. Here's how you form it. I am running out of time means that I'm the one who has time, and the amount of time I have is now going toward zero. Imagine you're taking a test, and the test is 100 questions. You've finished 95 of them, and you have 5 questions left. The test was 3 hours, but now you've only got 10 minutes until the end. Time is running out. You once had 3 hours. Now you have only 10 minutes. Oops, now it's only 9 minutes. Time is running out. It's moving toward zero, and we are close to the end. I told you today that I spent an hour looking at a painting, a single painting. At first, an hour seemed like more than enough time, almost too much time. But after 48 minutes, I got the sensation that my time was running out. I didn't want my time to end. So what seemed like a lot at the beginning now seemed like not very much, not when there was only 12 minutes left. I started to feel a little sad that my hour would run out. Next, pretend you're renovating your kitchen. You have a budget to do all the renovations, but things cost more than you expected. And you also want to expand the scope a little bit. You want to do things that you didn't originally plan. That tends to happen with big renovation projects, right? Soon you realize you're running out of money for this project. The money you set aside for this project is moving towards zero. You're spending it all and you don't have much left. You need to stop ordering new things and finish the renovation because you're running out of money. In both these examples, we say, I am running out or we are running out to describe the sensation we get when what we have is moving toward zero. Just 10 minutes left in the exam. Just a few $100s left in the budget. We're running out. We're getting close to zero. We can also use this in the past tense. So what happens if you have guests in your house and everyone takes a hot shower in the morning? The last person has to take a cold shower, or at least a room temperature one. Why? Because you run out of hot water. I don't know how it is where you live, but here, most houses have a hot water tank. The tank starts full of hot water, and then as all the house guests cycle through their showers, the hot water slowly moves toward zero. If the water runs out, then you have to wait for the tank to heat water again. If you're the unlucky last person, you might have to say, "We ran out of hot water." JR knows what it's like to run out of something in the morning. For some reason, this guy cannot monitor his supply of coffee beans. I don't know what it is, but he frequently runs out of coffee beans, so he has to go out and buy some more in the morning. And he tells me, "I ran out of coffee again this morning." Have you ever run out of gas? I have never run out of gas. I've come close. My car tells me approximately how many miles I can drive before I completely run out of gas. I think I was down to 7 miles recently. And here's what I said to myself when I got to about 15 or 20 miles left. I said, "I'm running out of gas. I need to go fill up." But I have never totally run out of gas. And that would not be fun, especially since last weekend was like 100 degrees. Today's song of the week is Lost Without You by Kygo with Dean Lewis. I think JR was inspired by his visit to Lollapalooza, the music festival, with this one. Kygo was here in Chicago, and JR went to see him. This song is a collaboration with Dean Lewis. "I'm a little lost without you" is the chorus line on this one. Lost Without You by the Norwegian producer Kygo with Dean Lewis. This is funny. I once had a boss who told me, "You can run out of anything. Just don't run out of business cards." That was back when people used business cards. He said, "You can run out of time. You can run out of money. You can run out of patience. You can run out of energy. You can run out of gas. But you cannot run out of business cards." He told me that before my first business trip. And maybe that's why I still have stacks of old business cards from old jobs lying around my apartment to this day. Well, that's it for today. Now remember, we have our 500th lesson coming up, and time is running out for you to participate in the giveaway and the video. So go to plainenglish.com/500 to enter the contest, record your video clip, and get ready for our live stream on Saturday, September 3rd. All the details are there at plainenglish.com/500. Remember, we're putting together a video featuring Plain English listeners, and we have an exciting giveaway just for you. All the details are at plainenglish.com/500. So go there now and join the fun. plainenglish.com/500. See you there.